Folks, hello. Um, Welcome to Brain and Behavior for summer of 2022. And just to inform you, I just began re-recording because I had just recorded a video for you a moment ago. It was going great. I thought, oh, it's funny. Covered everything, all of that. I got done. It was about 50 minutes long. So we're going to retry this. We're going to do it a lot more succinctly. So I know you at the beginning of any term, even though it is summer, as I always call it for people, you get syllabused to death, which is every course you go into. Yeah, great. Here's another syllabus with all these pages of the same you see in every one of them. Here's another Canvas shell, another shell, another shell. All these start here modules, and it's just 95% of it's just the same damn stuff that you see time and time and time again. But what that does is, in addition to just being extraordinarily tedious and way over the top, it kind of obscures often the stuff that is actually the most important, makes it harder to extract the things that are going to be the most relevant and these kinds of things. So, for what it's worth, every term I try to at least put something together like this at the beginning. Number one, hi, welcome. Introduce myself and this sort of thing. But then also to, give a rundown quick of like, look, here's what our course is. Let's go through the meat and potatoes pieces of the syllabus and the course shell and really lay out the stuff that is going to be the nuts and bolts, really important things. And in addition to that, for reasons you'll see as I get a little bit further into this, oftentimes too, there's a lot of stuff that is very consistently confusing. And so this is another opportunity too for me to not just kind of go over things, but to anticipate and hopefully obviate a lot of the questions and problems and hurdles that folks are going to run into. So if this can save us a few emails, awesome. So what? Hi, this is me. I'm Chris Collins. I will be our fearless something for this term, and this course, at least, I mean, this is my heartthrob. This is my bread and butter. This course or different iterations of it. My area is behavioral neuroscience and comparative animal behavior. I'm passionate about this, and I won't give you the long version at all of it. But this is one of those courses where, number one, it is on the vanguard of contemporary science. It's on that bleeding edge where, I mean, contemporary neuroscience is, I mean, it's very literally, I get up every day to see what's new, what's been published, what's happening this week, because it is evolving, changing, and just this completely burgeoning, blowing up field. So it's fascinating, it's exciting, it's contemporary, and I will hopefully be able to bring some of that too, because I'll talk about the textbook in a moment. We're using the 13th edition of Calit. It's a great book, I believe, for this level, this course, that kind of a thing. And even though it is quite up to date, I'll be trying to bring stuff saying, look at this, look what they just did this week, or look what happened the last month, and things like that related to all the stuff that we're talking about, because that is the current state of the evolution of the field. So in addition to it being just exciting and very, very modern and all of this in that way, at the same time, particularly for me, and I won't wax overly poetic here, but it also addresses, to my mind, some of the most fundamental and profound philosophical questions that our species has been asking about since we were capable of these. The nature of consciousness, the origins and the underlying mechanisms and principles that lead to these mental processes, emotions, personalities, behaviors. I mean, psychology, at least writ large, is this massive domain that encompasses countless, I mean, just, yeah. But all of that, no matter what direction you want to go, personality, abnormal psychology, developmental, animal behavior, cognitive I don't, any of it, pick any and all of it. You follow those trails far enough, you're gonna have to get it to a brain at some point. You're gonna land on a nervous system. And so, yes, we're going to spend a lot of time in the weeds in this course. If you have biology background, great. If you have chemistry background, great. But yes, we're going to spend a lot of time talking about cell structure, cell types, neuroanatomy. There will be sort of memorization. We'll get right down there to molecules and nucleotides and some of that. But at the same time, hopefully I'm going to try to do a good job of reminding us, no matter how sort of micro we get in our analysis of these things happening at the synapse and the like, that we're still talking about these massive philosophical questions as well. So I'll keep it there because this is how these things turn into 50-minute videos. So I hope, just suffice it to say that, I've been teaching this stuff for a really long time. And my goal with this course is, I want you to get a good grade. I want it to bolster your GPA. I want it to be credit hours towards your graduation, all that stuff. But honestly, my goal is I want you to walk away from this course here in a handful of weeks a different person. I want you to be different. I want you to think different. I want you to feel different. Because again, with this kind of a topic, the questions, the ideas, it's possible to walk away from this with nothing more than a change in your GPA. But if that's what happens, you're not doing it right. May I be so humble as to suggest. So I want to get in there. I want to play with your fundamental beliefs, ideas, worldview, perspectives, all of that. Play with it doesn't sound quite the right way, but you get what I'm talking about. Okay, so all that being said, let's get into the minutia stuff now. So again, I'll try to give you a quick version of this because I don't want this to turn into another long video. So quick few things to talk about. Textbook. Hopefully you've all seen what that is. Calit 13th edition, Biological Psychology. I've been using it a long time. I like it. I get good reviews on it. If for any reason you are one of the people who is contemplating another edition or another version or something like that, let's go ahead and have that conversation between the two of us rather than my spending time on it here. But this is the part I want to emphasize for all of you, and you can take it or leave it as you see fit. You've hopefully probably seen that the textbook is one piece of this, but right there with the textbook, it has a supplement, if you want to call it that, platform. And you've maybe used it before through Cengage. It's called MindTap. It's a digital platform website that is associated with the textbook, comes from the same author and everything like that. And I'll talk about MindTap here in a moment in the sense of how we're going to use it, what that's going to look like, whatever else. The thing I'm going to say, transitioning to that from textbook to that, is to say that if you bought the textbook and you have the textbook and here it is and that's great. The platform is also going to be used. So I am a person that I like having a book. I like having a physical thing that I can hold. I can flip through all the pieces of the dead tree and I can smell it and I can highlight it and I can spill coffee on it and I can kill things with it and whatever else you do with your textbooks. But of the many things that you will find on the MindTap page, there's going to be assignments. We'll talk about those, resources, practice things, all sorts of stuff. There is also a full and complete digital copy of the textbook. So every page, every word, every picture, every punctuation mark is on that digital platform. So if you are one of those people who is comfortable using an ebook, having a digital touchstone, as it were, to read from on a laptop, phone, smart tablet, whatever you're using, Just know that that's an option. If you are cool with that, you can get the MindTap platform. You don't need to get another physical textbook for any other reason unless you want it. So for me, and again, take this or leave this as you see fit. I like having that physical textbook. I like reading it. I like taking my notes and doing all my things. But I hate digital reading. I don't like reading on computers. I don't like reading on my phone. But what I do like is once I've read that information, I've absorbed it, I've done what I've done with it, taken my notes, etc. And then I'm going to go for a run, or I'm cleaning the house, or I'm on a long drive, or whatever it is. That digital textbook can be listened to audibly. And so, despite liking having the physical book and that being my major touchstone, I can re-listen to that information. I can, for lack of a better word, study, right? By re-listening to this stuff, reinforcing the reading and the studying and the discussions and everything else that's going on. So I put that out there for what it's worth. You are all your own unique, sexy people. You'll figure out what works best for you. So I take it for what it's worth. So with MindTap, here's where I won't spend too much time. I keep saying that, but I want to be very, very clear. There are a lot of things in MindTap, which is great. There are resources, assignments, textbook, flashcard, like all this stuff. Okay. Now, as far as our points, as far as towards your grade in this class, the only points that we will be extracting from MindTap will be comprehension checks and chapter tests. That's all of it. All of it. Comprehension checks are just brief, multiple choice little thing. You read through a little section on epigenetics or whatever it is, and here's a couple questions. Hey, did you read that up there? Okay, answer these. They're very simple, very straightforward. You will see there are different numbers per chapter, usually about 3. Some have 2, some have 4. And what you'll see if you go into like the grade book, for instance, is we have 140 points in the course that are, 130 points in our course derived from comprehension checks. The more studious among you who are going through and counting up all the peanuts and all that along the way are going to see that there are far more points you can achieve through comprehension checks than that 130. That can mean a lot of different things. That means you can miss some questions. That means you can miss some of the assignments. That means whatever you want it to mean. Provided you've accumulated enough points up to 130, anything beyond that doesn't matter. You're 100% out of the points available to you, but you can also miss a number of them along the way. So those are the comprehension checks. The others, I'm just trying to use the same language that they use in MindTap. I believe they call them the chapter test. These are not tests. They're not exams. You have all your materials. You can do anything you want. You can take them anytime you want, any way you want, with any materials you want. They're just 10-point things at the end of each chapter. 14 chapters, 10-point quizzes, tests at the end of each one of them. That constitutes 140 points towards the course. You can see these are unlike the comprehension checks in that 100% of that counts. So to get 100%, 140 of the 140, you got to sit down, take the chapter test for each one of the chapters and get them correct. But you can do that because you can retake them, you can do them over, all of that. So this hopefully is going to constitute very little stress for you. Part of the reason I'm harping on this so much is, and in recent time, because I have been harping on it so much, this hasn't proven to be as much of a problem. But in the past, people found themselves getting very confused because, I thought I should have all these points and I have 0 points for my comprehension checks. And it turns out it's because they did the mastery training through every chapter through the whole term. instead of the comprehension checks. So I'll spare you the long story. The quick and dirty version is I could go through and take out every other assignment so that you don't even see it. And that would avoid all kinds of confusion, because then all you would have are the comprehension checks, the chapter tests, nobody takes the wrong thing, and we're all happy. But that doesn't make a lot of sense, because you're having to invest in this platform, this resource. And so why would I deprive you of the resources that are available within it? So my take is I leave it all there. You can take the mastery trainings. You can do the labs and the lab quiz and the video quizzes and all those kinds of things, because that's what they're there for. But it can cause confusion because only the comprehension checks and the chapter tests will be calculated into your actual grade. I leave all of the others there. That's up to you. I've never had anybody say, yes, I did these additional pieces of work and it hurt my learning. I did more poorly by, reinforcing the information. So you get the idea. There, you are under no obligation. If you are a busy person, you know what you got to do and you know how you're going to do it, and all you want is get the comprehension checks done, get the test done, and get the hell on my way. Do it. That's all good. But for those of you who want them, need them, like them, benefit from them, mastery trainings, I'm going to leave them there. Other types of quizzes and exercises, it's still all going to be there for you. So this is, again, just the only things that will actually count towards our grade: comprehension checks and chapter tests. All right, I beat that to death. So I will leave that there. We can revisit some of that stuff a little further down the line, because one of the things you're going to see, for instance, in the Canvas gradebook is that, of course, there are locations for the points to be there from what we're doing in MindTap. But MindTap's a different entity. It's a different page. It's a whole different structure from Canvas, and it has its own gradebook. And so I can, again, talk about this later, but what you're going to see is your MindTap points are going to be kept in the gradebook in MindTap. Your other points for discussions and exams and things like that in Canvas will be in Canvas. And later, when I need all those points to come together, I'll be working on merging the two. We can revisit that if we need to. Okay, so I'm already up close to 20 minutes with you here already, just getting through that much. So you can see I love to talk. Okay, not a lot of other parts here. So next bit, discussion forums. These will be in Canvas. And if you have ever even walked within 45 feet of a Canvas course at Oregon State University, you know all about discussion forums, because this is a big part of what we end up doing in these online courses. I won't spend a ton of time here, but there will be one discussion forum essentially for each week as we go. So week 1, there'll be a, hey, introduce yourself, blah, 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 this sort of a thing. And then as we start to move forward, what you're going to find is the discussion forums for this course are very open-ended. This isn't like in other courses I have where I say, okay, here's what you're going to do. Follow this link, and you're going to go through this exercise, and it's going to give you this stuff, and then I want you to report that over here and answer this series of questions. None of them are going to be remotely like that. In fact, what you're going to see in our discussion forums for this class is, hey, you know all that stuff you were just reading about this week? What'd you like? Or what didn't you like? What stuck out? What struck you? What was personally relevant? Or what was something that, oh, wow, that really makes sense because of this thing that happened in the news, or this thing that happened in my family, or wow, this really jumped off the page, or this really disturbed. You have an incredible amount of latitude on these discussion forums to take them where you wish. Now, I'll give you some direction on that here to at least like rein you in so that you have a sense of what expectations are and that sort of thing. But this is meant to be profoundly open-ended, which on the one hand should take a lot of stress off. Another way to say it is there's no wrong answers. If you write something, you say, wow, I thought this was fascinating when they talked about X, Y, and Z, right? There's no way I'm going to come back and be like, you're incorrect. That is not fascinating. 0 out of 10 points. But what that does mean is, great, there should be very little stress that, you're not going to get posed with a question where it's like, here, there's an answer I want, and you need to go find that answer and provide it appropriately. There's no wrong answer. The only wrong answer is just not putting anything into it. And so if I give you a prompt that says, wow, look at this, we just talked about, 85 different things, all of which are up for grabs, where you could say anything that you want. If I get something from someone who has like 3 sentences, well, I read the section on blind sight, and it turns out people who are congenitally blind can still experience something akin to sight. Thank you. That's not going to work. So what the trade-off, of course, then is that, yeah, you don't have to stress out. This isn't like a quiz. It's not right and wrong answers with really hard grading and that kind of a thing. It means that the effort doesn't have to be put into that. The effort has to be put into, you need to actually write something, right? Think about it a little bit. And again, take it where you want. Relate it to stuff that you've been learning about in your other courses. Wow, yeah, actually, when I was learning in developmental psychology, how, at this stage, Piaget suggests that we go through this cognitive leap, and now we're talking about, the myelination process and synaptogenesis and these kinds of things, and it really makes sense how, the prefrontal cortices aren't wired up at that time, and they would lack that. Whatever direction you want to take it. The other piece with that, and again, you'll see this as you're reading through, I don't want to belabor it, but in addition to your own post, the other, and arguably maybe even more important piece is, this is meant to be a discussion, a conversation. Everything about this class is asynchronous. For most of you, we'll probably never even actually have a real-time conversation with one another. Sad. But even though this is kind of come and go as your life dictates, or as your days, whatever it is, that's great. But you still need to be, this is the one place where we all get to meet. This is where you actually get to interact with a class, right? And with me in a very real way. This is the one place where I really get to see you. I get to learn about you. I get to learn about what you're thinking about. This is the whole thing for me, because I don't get to stand in the classroom. I don't get to lecture, have the conversations, and do these kinds of things. So this is where I actually get to learn. What are you thinking? How are you thinking about this? How are you making sense of it? How are you relate? All this sort of stuff. So you need to participate. You got to come back. Even if you have the most eloquent, wonderful, just captivating write-up about split brain patients and this kind of thing for your own post, if that's all you put up there, even if you got a list of citations and all of this wonderful prose and everything else, but you never come back, you never read anybody else's post, you never say anything about anybody else's post or converse, respond to anybody's responses to your post, you're not going to get all the points. That hopefully seems obvious to you, but I've been doing this a long time and it's not always obvious. So this is way more about participation, about suiting up, showing up, and just, there aren't wrong answers. You just got to show, hey, I am thinking about this. And you don't even have to like it. You can write every single one of your discussion forums about how this is total BS. I hate this. This is ridiculous. You've made my day bad. And as long as you're participating, making reference to relevant kinds of things and engaging with other people's conversations, hey, 100%. Just don't, I mean, just ruins my night, it's all. Okay. Well, hopefully that's clear. Last bit, because holy moly, we're already coming up again on 25 minutes here. Okay. Exams. This is not going to be relevant for a little while, but it always comes extremely quickly. So just very quickly to give you the nuts and bolts of this, and then we'll come back to it, I promise, as we come closer to it. 2 exams, midterm, final. They will only cover the content of what has taken place. So week 6 will be our midterm. What we start with here today until week 5, that's the information that will be on the midterm. 50 questions, all multiple choice. Final. We pick up in week 7, we go through week 10. The final is not cumulative. It covers what we cover from week 7 through week 10. 50 questions, multiple choice. Should be extraordinarily straightforward. I go in, I tinker a little bit here and there, but I have like study guides for each of those. And I'm never, ever, ever going to try to steer you wrong. So with the assignments in MindTap, with the content of what we're doing in the discussion forums, with everything else about this, there shouldn't be no surprises. And as I said, I'm not going to spend a bunch of time right now because we will come closer to that time, and then I will dive in. We'll talk about them. We'll go through it and all of that. They are proctored, and the natural downstream thing from that is, of course, then this is an exam, so no books, no notes, no any of that stuff. This is where we do all of that ahead of time so that we can, right, demonstrate our knowledge and what we've learned and all that good shit. One thing real quick, because here's how a term goes. Weeks pass, midterm. Everyone flips out before the midterm. I get 87 emails about Proctorio. And then we do the midterm, and then within about 4 seconds after the first person completes the midterm, that's when I start getting all the emails about like extra credit, extra credit, extra credit, extra credit. I'm not trying to be weird about it. Just saying, I've done this a time or two. There will be extra credit available. So I will probably not make that available until you'll see why, and I'll talk about it later. It will not be available until after the midterm. For reasons, again, that will become extraordinarily obvious once we get to that place. So just to, again, anticipate and obviate those questions to whatever degree I can, there will be extra credit. So, I think those are at least as far as like, again, the meat and potatoes for the term, and at least just trying to get all of us kind of on the same page. And again, just knowing what we need to be doing here in these initial hours and days as we wade into the term here together. So, as far as like right here, right now, the things you need to be thinking about, of course, are the book and which kind of variety of what I described to you is going to make the most sense for you as far as having that material goes. And then the MindTap piece. Of course, the sooner you can kind of access that, get that set up. Again, the codes and everything else should be there, available on the syllabus, in Canvas, all over the damn place. That is going to be priority to get that set up as well. And then really, as far as like this first week, we have a discussion forum of just like, hey, who are you? What are you doing here? That kind of really stressful stuff. So we'll do a little stretching before we hurt ourselves. This should be a nice, reasonably straightforward week of just trying to kind of get those pieces into place. Get into the book, start doing a little bit of reading. Just start, just making sure that you're kind of comfortable with the course, with the materials and that sort of thing. And provided that we've achieved that, we're off to a rock and roll start. So I will leave it here because this is obscenely long already. Half an hour half an hour just to go through all that with you all. Apologies, I have a very big mouth, as you already know, and we'll see more of. But otherwise, genuinely, I'm very excited to work with you all this term. It really is. It's such a fascinating class, such fascinating information. I really hope you get a lot out of this, and I'm gonna do what I can to ensure that happens. So please know that as far as like kind of my pedagogy or kind of my approach as from the teaching side of things here, I or maybe alluded to, I think already. I'm not. I've been doing the online thing now for the last couple of years, really, kind of since COVID. Prior to that, I was the in the lecture hall, face to face guy. I knew my students. I made relationships. I had conversations. I held office hours. This is a whole different thing. So, last thing I want to say to you and to emphasize to you is that I want to meet you where you're at insofar as this course goes. And what I mean by that is that for some of you, again, you're busy. You've got a life, you got other classes, you got a job, you got kids, you got whatever it is. And you get on the computer when you can, you do what you need to do, when you need to do it, get it in. And for a lot of, again, probably the majority of students that are in these courses with me, we may never have any direct contact with one another. And if that's you and that's your modus operandi, your preference, that is perfectly fine. I am not going to shove myself into your life. I am not going to hassle you, provided you are comfortable doing what you're doing and everything's fallen into place on that end. I will leave you be, and more power to you. That said, not everybody is like that. So this is where I just want to make it very clear that for those of you who are new to online learning or don't prefer online learning or do benefit from more guidance, more time, more whatever, that's what I am here for. And despite the fact that we're online, it is asynchronous and all of that. I don't have sort of traditional office hours. I'm in Portland, I'm online, but I'm always on email. I am always available. So we can do email any old time, great. Phone, sure. We can talk on the phone if that's an easier thing. Zoom or FaceTime or whatever like that. Absolutely. I'm always around, and my life is completely insane in the sense that I'm also a father. I have twin 6-year-olds, so but my life is crazy, but I don't have a hard schedule here. So that means that you want to talk about the exam, you want to ask some questions, you want to talk about graduate school, or I mean, whatever it is. Especially, I kind of put this out there for those of you who have been online and haven't been at a place where you've been able to forge real and meaningful relationships with faculty the way that you typically would when you are on campus. Just know that I'm here for all of that stuff too. Yeah, stuff for this course. But if you want to know about grad school, if you want to talk about career stuff, whatever it is, like, know that I'm here for all of that stuff as well. So again, not to beat it to death, but I want to be as involved in this situation as you want me to be involved in this situation. So it's just a matter of your letting me know that. And so for some of us, again, we'll never maybe even communicate at all outside of just announcements that I put up and this and that's fine. But if you're one of those people and we need to set up a Zoom for every like a couple days every week for the entire term, that's perfectly fine too. So just let me know, and just know that I'm more than happy to do whatever that is. All right, that's way more than enough. So I'm going to shut up. I hope you all are doing well, and I am excited to work with you over the coming weeks, going through all this stuff. So take care of yourselves. Don't be a stranger, and we'll talk soon. All right. Cheers.